Little Aurora hardly knows her dad.
Гуси-гуси, га-га-га.
He was mobilised and sent to Ukraine in October last year. Her mum, Paulina, wants him back home.
Я посоветовала со своим мужем. Вот.
I talked to my husband, and he said, don't ask for benefits, don't ask for money, ask for us to come back home.
Вот проси, чтобы нас вернули.
Садись, садись, смотри, вкусняшка.
Most of the money from his army salary, which is around £1,600 a month, they spend on rent and on the baby. The rest goes on supplies to the front.
У нас либо наших мужей мы сами обеспечиваем.
Either we provide for them ourselves, give them food and water, or they will die, more likely not from enemy bullets, but from hunger and cold.
Голода, холода.
Мы за полную демобилизацию.
And there are plenty more like her, wives of the mobilised who've tried to raise their voices across the country and get their menfolk home.
We are against legal slavery. Both mobilised and contract soldiers must have the right to be released from military service upon expiration of the contract or from 1 year after the end of conscription.
Their pleas have been met with a robust backlash. The social media channel they used labelled fake.
Они превращают вашу боль в отчаяние.
And a rival circle of patriotic wives wheeled out to tell them how misguided they are, the victims of a Western smear campaign.
В те дни, когда наша страна.
In these days when the country is fighting NATO and there is a question of Russia's existence or ceasing to exist, our enemies are trying to weaponize you in the fight against the homeland.
A little over a year on from the partial mobilisation of 300,000 men, the Kremlin is doing its best to suppress lingering disquiet through an info war between their wives and mothers back home. Mobilisation politically was very damaging, so if it does happen again, it certainly won't before presidential elections in March. Militarily, though, it has made a huge difference, allowing for a constant resupply of manpower to attritioned front lines. And the salaries paid are huge, 3 or 4 times the average, which really makes a difference, especially in poorer regions. You could say that the Kremlin is buying people's acquiescence.
Скажите свою историю, пожалуйста, про своего мужа.
But some women won't be bought. Yulia Galyamina is an activist and former politician who's doing what she can to help these women. She's been labelled a foreign agent by the state, but she stayed in Russia and says she senses a shift in people's thinking.
They've already crushed the entire anti-war movement. They've crushed the activists. Here, completely different people are starting to make essentially the same claims today. Where are our human rights? Where do we have the opportunity to influence you somehow?
With elections just around the corner, these are not the kinds of questions the Kremlin likes to answer, and it will do its best to silence them. But for Putin to win on the battlefield, he may need more husbands and sons, and the people may be unwilling to provide. Diana Magnay, Sky News, Moscow.